Hi, in this module I'm going to demonstrate some of the very basic things that you need to know about when using an Excel spreadsheet. And I have a spreadsheet that's already been developed, and in fact this is going to be a spreadsheet that you will have to create as an assignment here later on this week. But for now I want to just walk you through the interface and introduce you to some terminology so that as I begin demonstrating the solution to some more complex problems, you will be able to follow along more easily. So what do we have here? Well, we have a program that's part of the Microsoft Office suite, a program that has the standard Office interface with pages at the top that it can be accessed through page tabs. On each page we have toolbars with related tools, and then the tools are furthermore grouped into what are called ribbons. Okay, so for instance, on the page layout page, there's a page setup ribbon, and similar tools are grouped there. Below that, we have some interface components that are unique to Excel. We have a name box that allows us to determine precisely what storage location we're currently accessing in a spreadsheet. We have, to the right of where it says f of x, we have a text box that's called the formula bar, and this is an area where we can edit existing data and then also see how computational expressions are actually constructed. So there's actually two things that occur here. If we're performing a computation with the spreadsheet, then there will be an expression that has to be constructed, and then when that expression is applied to the data, it will return a result. So for instance, if I click on this cell, we'll see that it returns a value of 110,880.4, and that's the value returned as a result of performing this computation. So I'm not going to go into great detail, but just be aware that there's two different views. We want to see the result of the computation sometimes, and sometimes we want to see the actual expression that causes the computation to occur. All right, so looking further here, you'll notice that everything's laid out in columns and in rows, and where we have rows and columns intersecting, we have a basic storage unit called a cell, C-E-L-L, and in cells we can store text, we can store numbers, we can store computational expressions that are built right into the spreadsheet program itself called functions, and we can store computational expressions that we craft ourselves called formulas. And then there's some other things that can be entered into cells as well. You can enter in hyperlinks and pictures and video clips and things like that. But for the work that we do in this class, we'll be focused primarily on working with text, numbers, and computational expressions. Okay, so we have a number of columns where the columns intersect. Again, we have something called a cell, and the individual cells are addressable by their column row coordinates. Okay, and then in order to be able to find our way around the spreadsheet, there's a visual cue that we'll work with extensively called a cell pointer, and I can move that cell pointer from storage location to storage location by clicking the mouse, or I can move it using the directional arrow keys on the keyboard. And that cell pointer then, I should also point out, has a feature called a fill handle. We'll look at that later on. And not only can I use the cell pointer to navigate from storage location to storage location, but I can also use the cell pointer, the fill handle part of the cell pointer, to copy data from one cell to another. And I'll do that many times over. You'll be thoroughly familiar with that procedure. All right, so we have a worksheet that has a number of columns. To be real precise, it has 16,384 columns, and has a number of rows. To be precise, it has 1,048,576 rows. And anywhere a row and a column intersect, we have a storage location. So if you were to multiply 1,048,576 times 16,384, you'd have the number of storage locations that are available on a single worksheet. And if we look down here at the bottom, there's some page tabs, and this happens to be sheet 1, but if I want, if I run out of space, run out of storage locations here, I can switch over and use a new sheet. And if that's not enough, I can use yet a third sheet. And if that's not enough, I can create an additional sheet. So each of these individual sheets are called worksheets, and the entire collection is called a spreadsheet. And typically we don't use all of the storage location in an Excel spreadsheet. In fact, I've never heard of anyone using all the storage space in a single Excel worksheet. We have these the ability to use multiple worksheets, though, because sometimes it makes it easier for us to organize our data. So for instance, if I were keeping track of production of machinery across 3 different shifts, I might keep track of production for shift 1 on sheet 1, and production for shift 2 on sheet 2, and production for shift 3 on sheet 3, and then I might aggregate the data from the 3 sheets on yet a 4th sheet. So we'll look at an example where we work with multiple sheets, but for now, I hope you have at least a basic idea of what the interface components are and how data is actually stored in a spreadsheet.